Back to that Kevin show with Kevin McCullough.
All right, my next guest is someone who I have personally had the privilege of discussing how to deep fry a turkey with on the Fox News channel. Now, it wasn't on the main channel. It was on a little place called the Strategy Room, which was kind of, well, at that time it was like a closet on the 12th floor or somewhere. But it was a very memorable meeting. But it was just one of many conversations that I've had with this very special person who has served not one but multiple administrations in the Pentagon and as part of national security and foreign policy teams. She is someone who held the civilian equivalent rank of a 4-star admiral or general when she was at the Pentagon, and I am very pleased to say that she's also a wonderful friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Katie McFarland.
Hey, can I just tell your audience what you meant about the deep frying the turkey? So you and I were on a show that was the precursor of Fox Nation. It's an online show, and it was really the precursor of the Five.
Yep.
And so you and I are sitting there.
They made the wrong hires on that, by the way. They hired all the wrong people. They should have had you and me on there, but it's a different thing.
Exactly. So we debate everything from, presidential politics to, what you're going to do for Thanksgiving. So we're talking about Thanksgiving and turkeys, and then you pop up with how you deep fry a turkey. And I looked at you and I said, Kevin, do you know about deep frying turkeys? And you went on to explain how you do it and how you have to be really careful it's not a frozen turkey. And I was so dazzled with the breadth of your knowledge that I've just respected you ever since.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think, I do have just kind of a natural curiosity about life. In fact, before we sat down to have this conversation, you heard me having a conversation with Nicole Sapphire about breast cancer and the developments in different areas of health and so forth. So I do have a very wide, interest in what's going on in the world. And that's why I like my shows to kind of reflect that, because I think it's a benefit to people if we can make life a little bit better for each other and in as many ways as possible. I think that's a generally good thing. So having that as kind of the context of where we're going here, you've led an extraordinary life. You've served your country in multiple ways. Not only are you have you served in public office, but you've also very much supported our nation's military. You're a proud Navy mom. I've got a lot of Navy members in my family. Both grandfathers were in the big war. My brother-in-law is active duty now, and really proud of him, Top Gun grad, so forth. Let me just, so people kind of get a sense of this. What is your sense of where we are with our military in 2023 as we speak right now?
Oh, I think we're in trouble for a bunch of reasons. For 20 years, we've ignored the military and the major looming threat in front of us, which is China. We focused on the Middle East, on the forever wars. And now I'm worried that we're ignoring the prevailing threat to us, which is China, as we're focused on Europe and Ukraine and Russia. Not that we shouldn't want to have Ukraine succeed, but don't do it at the expense of the real strategic threat to the United States. And certainly don't do it by drawing down our military capabilities so somebody else can fight their fight. And in addition to that, we've really fallen behind technologically. We always think about America as the cutting edge technology power, whether it's with anything to do with cyber or whether it's anything to do with the internet or computers or cybersecurity or cyber weapons. And we've really fallen behind. I mean, the Russians and particularly the Chinese, they have a whole new class of weapons that we don't have. They're called hypersonic weapons. And we do not have hypersonic weapons. We do not have the ability to defend against hypersonic weapons. And that's just one area where we've fallen behind. So I'm worried that not only have we not kept up with where we should, but we're not looking to the future. And we're not developing these more sophisticated technological weapon systems, and that we're not investing in high technology. The Chinese understand that the country that controls quantum computing, artificial intelligence, the country that controls the sort of 10 different areas of the technologies of the future controls the future. And China's had an all-government approach, a whole-of-nation approach on surpassing the United States, not just economically, but militarily, technologically, politically, diplomatically, every way you can think of. And they plan to do it within a very short period of time, within the next 5 or 10 years. And I worry that we have no plan, that we don't have a technology plan, that we don't have a military plan. I mean, we have a president who's kind of out of it. And we have an administration which is really not focused on the looming threat in front of it, which is China. And that we're going to be caught very flat-footed unless we change course within a couple of years.
Well, just an example of what you're talking about was the hearing about a week ago in which Senator from Iowa, Joni Ernst, asked Energy Secretary Granholm about the need to convert our entire military to electric vehicles by 6 years from now, 2030. And I'm sitting here, I'm not that technologically savvy. I mean, I know how to operate my phone and my computer, but you know, I'm not a tech geek by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, if I can think of ways that would benefit our enemies and hurt us, surely smart people somewhere in Washington could have said the same thing to Secretary Granholm at some point. But instead, when she's asked about it, she doubles down and says, no, we absolutely can and we should, because it's the right thing to do to be green. KT, I want my military to have zero capacity limitations. I don't want them to be able to move or not move based on what type of fuel they use or where the energy comes from or anything else. In fact, I was talking with General Keane about this, and I said, shouldn't we be like in R&D right now thinking about putting tiny little nuclear reactors in vehicles? I mean, we do it in the aircraft carriers and the submarines. Right. Shouldn't we be figuring out how to do that so we don't need any fuel at all? And he said there are people working on that, but it's all private sector. He happens to be associated with one of the companies that is. But we're not, to your point, thinking about the right things.
No, and here's what's wrong about what Senator Granholm said. Number one, we have the God-given resources to be not only energy independent, but energy dominant. We have, out of shale rock, we have the ability to power the world for hundreds of years. And we were well on our way to doing that. We were energy independent at the end of the Trump administration, well on our way to being energy dominant. Now, what energy dominant means is we export so much stuff, so much oil and natural gas, that we set the price. And we can set the price much lower than Russia and Iran, any of these other countries can. And so as a result of that, we drive down the overall price and we bankrupt our adversaries. So first of all, when Senator Granholm comes out and says, well, we want to go to an all electric fleet or we want to go to a green energy solution, why are we tying our hands behind our back when we could be the dominant energy source for the world? And number two, when she talks about that, guess where those contracts are coming from? Guess who's making all the stuff that goes into electric
Every
vehicles?
ounce of lithium you need in the battery comes from where?
China. And so not only are we tying our hands behind our back and not using the natural resources that we've been given by the Almighty.
She's KT McFarland. I'm Kevin McCullough. We're coming right back. Very special to have KT with us tonight. I'm so honored. Stay here.
Ready or not, he'll be right back. That Kevin